Um, so it's been an interesting ride. Um, I Kent and I, let's see, about 10 days ago, we're talking about round robin and as an approach and to well, not just liveness, but to sort of keep the protocol chugging along, let's say. And I was not thrilled about the idea of using round robin because you end up there are two issues with round robin. One is that you have these minimal time slots that you have to worry about, and then you also have to then have some way of handling the time service issue. So both of those make that provide challenges for that particular approach. I've been working with Vlad and his team on a more general liveness approach where you use that sort of topological in nature. So you define a kind of synchronization barriers as waves. You can, if you can think about them, if you picture an interaction diagram, they're waves that cover as much of the interaction diagram as you have fault tolerance for, right? So you can have holes in the interaction diagram that correspond to how much you have fault tolerance for. And then as I was thinking about these things and how to write them down, I realized that you can write them down as a kind of polynomial. So the straight up round robin polynomial is just some word in the and variables that correspond to the validator IDs, right? So that gives you a fixed order. And then if you want to do non-determinism, and by the way, you could increase or decrease block height of the you could imagine that you allow for the multiple blocks signed by the same validator, and that's a power of a validator, and then you get non-determinism by summation, right? So that would allow for any order, and this can be turned in. These polynomials can be represented by Hennessy-Milner formulae as well. So I'm just using polynomials because people are more familiar with polynomials than they are with process algebraic types or behavioral types like the Hennessy-Milner formulae. I was thinking about the proofs associated with using the polynomial formulae to reason about these things. And again, just so that people are aware of what the intuitions are, there's a direct correlation between these kinds of polynomial style representations and the number of holes in the space. So this is very reminiscent of topological reasoning, where for example in homotopy, you can use algebraic invariance to detect holes in a space, and there's a closely connected intuition here where the fault tolerance represents a kind of the faults represent kind of holes in the space, where you can think of the space as a graph that's derived from the interaction diagram, and is closely connected to the justification structures. Anyway, long story short, as I was thinking about this, there's actually a funny chain of events. I was reading an article on quantum error correcting codes and the relationship to holes in anti-de Sitter space. And I realized that the polynomials are the basis of error correcting codes and consensus. And then did a quick literature search and realized that there's actually been a body of work on this for quite some time, using error correcting codes to derive liveness. So I'm heavily stealing those proof techniques to prove out the liveness liveness for a much broader class of Casper. So I'll give links to the papers here. Hang on one second. So this is a good entry point into the literature. And the notion of conditions in the condition-based approach can be turned in, can be intercoded with the polynomial approach that I was taking. They're essentially isomorphic. So that's that's my update. This allows for a derivation of a wide range of liveness. Liveness proofs for a whole family of Casper protocols. So it's actually it feels like a nice, crisp, clean way to do this. We have both algebraic and topological interpretations, which gives me a lot of confidence that the proof techniques are robust. Anyway, that's my update. Anybody else have any other updates? Lively group.
So I guess, not really any research updates from my end.
Cool. But what's going on with the implementation? So where are we?
So the latest is that we squashed the unused com event bug. That was caused by having the block time be replayed. Let me back up a bit. So we have a notion of block time where we attach some timestamp to each block, and the creator of the block is able to inject, I guess in some sense, any timestamp they want, but ideally they would inject the current timestamp. And what happens is that all the deploys in the block receive that timestamp, and it's exposed through this system process. But what was happening was that when we were replaying, we would use the timestamp for the currently being validated block, instead of, if we had multiple parents, we would need to validate, if we were validating like the parent deploys, then we would need to use the parent's timestamp instead. And that was causing some unused com events in the replay.
Wow, it's hard to get better validation that maybe timestamps are not the way to go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys caught it. Yeah, cool. So how are we? I know that there's been some discussion about the well, you and I had some discussion about the threading model, um, and I wanted to have a follow up on that.
I see. Yeah, so just to explain what or so currently we have um, the Rolang interpreter, and the interpreter, for every par, we group the sends, receives, news, matches. Let me actually get it out. And well, we have these bins, and each bin is executed in parallel. And at least as of now, that these parallel executions, if run in parallel for at least whatever hardware I'm using, is slower than if you run it sequentially. So, and this is most likely because of the overhead from scheduling threads through the operating system, or that's, I believe, what Java does or the JVM does by default. So we need to implement green threads so that we won't get that overhead.
Yep. Yeah, using the Java threads is not optimal.
Doesn't Monix use green threads by default?
You don't have to have you don't have to have the threads be at the operating system level, right?
But like Monix, the Scala package, doesn't it use green threads by default?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not aware of that.
It might, which would, I guess then, if that's the case, then the overhead is coming from
Monix, yeah.
Which I guess would be harder to fix in some, or like not fix, but improve. But I guess we'll have to.
Yeah, we need to do some profiling.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, just to complete my earlier sentence, the bins are they're send, receive, new, match, and bundle. But yeah.
Cool. Any other updates from anyone else?
I was looking at Vlad's sharding work recently, and I keep hoping that Vlad's going to be here so that I can ask him about it, but he is not here today, I guess.
There's a consensus-related question in the collab. You have three writes in parallel, and they come out in random order. And the question is, how do you reach consensus when every time you run this, you get a different answer?
So what are you talking about?
I think I can answer that.
Are you talking about Roland code? The only consensus that you're interested in is who wins the race. But go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, I was just gonna basically say the same thing, where you need a replay log to tell other validators which path you've taken down, or like which way you've reduced.
Okay, so I guess how do we answer this? How is it handled? There's a replay log.
Yeah, so Jim, the whole point here is not that Rolang programs are deterministic, quite the other way around. Rolang programs support non-determinism. It's just that the non-determinism is the same across all the validators. Every validator agrees on the winner of the races.
Yeah, my understanding was that that the random number generators were somehow in sync. But
no,
that's not it.
No. So in general, the point is you're not trying to achieve determinism in Rolang programs. Rolang programs allow for, so for example, one of the best uses of non-determinism is in first come, first serve algorithms like airline reservation systems. You don't want it to be deterministic. You want it to be the case that if Alice beats Bob in the race, that Alice gets the seat and Bob has to get a different seat or get a different flight, right? You don't want determinism in real world systems. Especially not economically based systems.
Right.
But the determinism that you do want is that across all the validators, they all agree on the winners of the races. And that's the only form of determinism that is provided within the system.
Right. So if 3 nodes provide 3 blocks and they print 3 different things.
They won't print 3 different things. That's the point. All the nodes will agree on the winners of the race.
Okay.
You see the difference? So the program could print 3 different things, but every validator will agree on the particular run of the program.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. It's a subtle point. Okay, so as near as I can tell, it looks like Keelim and Quasar are still best of breed in the green thread space. I don't know if Monix uses either of those. Cool. All right, well, do we have any other updates? Are we good for today?
Greg, I have one update after the call for you.
Cool, awesome. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I don't have anything else. But Kent, I'll see you at the Dev Stand-Up.
Right.
Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you guys later.